Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Berea City Council meeting, Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time, I would call on Steve Cottle to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Steve?
Would you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, we come together today to do the business of this city. We thank you for all the wonderful blessings that we have in the city of Berea. Lord, watch over those who are doing the work of this great city, all of our employees who are putting themselves in danger on any given day and doing the important work of our city. Lord, as a body, give us the wisdom to know the right decisions to make and the courage to make them. Go with us and guide us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve by Katie Startzman and a second by Jim Davis? At this point, I would request another amendment this time. This would be to add Berea Housing Authority appointment, and my intent is to put Jeannie Hogg before the council for that position. I'll explain a little bit more about that. Is there a motion to amend to add that item?
So moved.
By Mr. Cottle and second from Cora Jane Wilson. We'll insert that right after number 9, the Planning Commission appointments, to add the Housing Authority appointment. Motion carries on that, and of course we're back to the original motion now to approve the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote, and all in favor of the motion to approve as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and the minute and the agenda is approved. Sorry about that. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the January 3rd, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion to approve? By Mr. Davis and second by Mr. Rowlett. Is there any discussion or corrections of the minutes? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from January 3rd, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Would any members of the public like to address the council? Mr. Jackson, if you would step up, and while you're stepping up to the podium, let me read this real quick. Public is given the opportunity to speak to the City Council during the public comment portion of the meeting. Any public comments exceeding 3 minutes should be scheduled as a presentation to the mayor's office to be placed on the agenda. When recognized by the mayor, please go to the podium, state your name for the record. Comments should be business oriented, and we ask for no inappropriate language or naming of any person individually during your comments. Business oriented is defined as any business item of business on the agenda, including ordinances, municipal orders, and resolutions, along with comments related to city services provided by the City of Berea. Jackson, if you'll introduce yourself, you have the floor, sir.
My name is O.H. Jackson Napier. I'm from Breathitt County, Kentucky. I recently moved back to Berea with my fiancée Layla. We live on Center Street, and we are looking to shoot down some roots here and start a family. I was able to attend the marches yesterday in Berea and Richmond for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I was able to hear the convocation by Mr. Desmond Meade. And I was so moved by his story of using his personal testimony to help others, I wanted to come here today and give a comment. It's a personal story of mine. I was raised by a single mother until the age of 17. And when I was 17, my mother died in a house fire. My father was an alcoholic who was unable to take care of himself or any of his children. And I say this to the city council because I was saved and redeemed by my uncle and his husband. I was saved and redeemed by my uncle and his husband. I have 2 fathers. I recently asked them if I could start calling them Dad, and they joked, yeah, you can call Selden father and David, you can call David father and Selden dad. And it just makes my heart leap with joy to think about that and the love they showed me when I was in their home, because I desperately needed that love and stability to be a human. And a gay couple was able to provide that to me. Now that I have decided to make my home in Berea, I want them to come and visit and see me. And currently, I'm going to have to tell them that they can't be too gay to come to this city. And I think that that is wrong. I would like to ask this council to again consider passing a fairness ordinance so that we can protect all of our citizens. Some members in a democracy need more protection than others. And there's a history of violence against LGBTQ people in this country and nation and county and city. And we need to do some critical self-examination. And as a seminarian, I would like to offer an invitation to anybody who disagrees with me, anybody who agrees with me, anybody who's on the fence. I will sit down and talk with you about my family. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other members of the community who'd like to address the council? Ms. Workman, if you'll step up, and I would ask you to abide by the prior guidance. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask if there's been any movement on the rezoning on Christmas Ridge Road. Have you heard anything more?
I have not, Mrs. Workman, but I'll ask Amanda Dehaney to get in touch with you about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Would any other members of the community like to address the council? All right, seeing none, I am very pleased to welcome State Representative Josh Bray. Josh is the state representative for the 71st District, which, if you look at the new districting, covers most of Berea now, it seems. So Josh offered to come and provide us an update with what our state legislature is doing in Frankfort. Josh, you have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Fraley. More than anything, I just kind of wanted to come and formally introduce myself. When the legislature redistricted in accordance with the Constitution, I shifted from western Madison County down into southern Madison County. And I realize I know a lot of you all, and I know a lot of you all very well, but some of you I don't. So I just wanted to come and put a face with the name. And like I said, just introduce myself. I've attended hundreds of council meetings, but this is my second one here in Berea. I am the vice chairman of the local government committee, was former city administrator for the city of Mount Vernon, and in 2019 was chosen as the city employee of the year by the Kentucky League of Cities. So I'm very familiar with the issues affecting cities, but now that I represent most of Berea, I look forward to working with you all and hearing what I can do in Frankfort to help you and help Berea grow. So that's all I've got. Like I said, just wanted to put a face with the name. I'll get you all my contact information. I'd told a few I'd had an issue with some cattle right before I come up here, so unfortunately my business cards are in my other vehicle, but I'll make sure you all have my contact info. That way if something comes up. Like the mayor said, I do have the vast majority of Berea, pretty much everything east of 75. Representative Frazier still has a little piece of on 25 and west of 75, so we'd kind of swapped. But look forward to getting to know all of you better, and if there's anything I can address or any questions you have now, I'd be happy to take them, and if not, I'll be in contact soon.
Thank you, Josh. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions or comments for Josh.
Will you answer if you're contacted?
Oh,
Ma'am,
absolutely.
Hold on just a second. We have to keep this part to the council. So I'll ask, will you answer if you're contacted? And I think I know the answer to this one.
Yeah, so I'll even give you my phone number. That's one thing I do take a lot of time to do. I check my email only twice a day while we're not in session, so usually in the morning and afternoon. So if you email me, I'll get right back with you, and if you call, I'll get back with you, probably quicker. But yeah, that's one thing I do, spend a lot of time focusing on. If you've got a question, I will answer it, won't ride the fence. And that could be good or that could be bad, I guess, depending on what side of the issue you're on.
Other questions from the council for Josh? Katie?
So what are your priorities right now for the district?
So I mainly with the kind of in my older side, I had the airport, which, Deanna and I had worked to there was a water line extension out that way, and then the blacktop, getting it connected with Duncannon. Well, first of all, getting Duncannon through 52 to Lancaster, and then improving that road. We worked with Congressman Barr's office on that. But now that I've got Berea proper, economic development one has always been first and foremost a priority of mine. I feel like as the sprawl of Fayette County moves south, you know, we've got 75 and got all the road infrastructure and most of the utility infrastructure needed for profound economic development, especially when you look around the Duncannon area, which I realize that's not exactly in Berea proper, but one of the things, you know, that I've seen and have taken, used in my professional life is just because something good happens outside the city limits doesn't mean the city doesn't profit from it. You know, you've got somebody here that's just recently moved in, and as Berea grows, I think a lot of that's going to be because of economic development. And so that's kind of, you know, I've spoken with Miss Angel in the past, and that's, you know, continue to have those conversations.
Other questions or comments for Josh? And I will add, Josh, is if people want to see the new redistricting, because I commented to Josh that I used to be in Deanna Frazier's district, and now I'm in Josh's. So that has changed a lot, and I would encourage everybody to go on and look at that. That would be through the Legislative Research Commission,
Yeah, that's all on LRC's website.
so lrc.gov, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and if somebody wants to reach out to me, I'll be happy to get you a copy of the map or send it.
Sounds good. We're going to let you go because I know you got to put your veterinarian hat on now.
Yep, I've got to
And,
get some
but
cows.
we appreciate you keeping your commitment to be here tonight,
Yep.
and wish you luck with the situation you got going on at home. And if you need any of us, we're a phone call away, brother.
All right, thank you all.
All right. Next item on the agenda is I'm very pleased to welcome home, because she's a Berea native, Miss Lisa Foster, that I kind of grew up with in the same era there. So Lisa's here to give us a briefing on Redeeming Hope. This is a new initiative, and I see that Lisa has brought some of her colleagues with her, and she's also been working with our own Xenia Hensley. So Lisa, welcome. You have the floor. If you'll press that little button, it'll let you go live. Yeah. And if worst case scenario, Ronnie will help you there.
Okay, good. All right, well, I am Lisa Foster, and thank you all for listening to us tonight. So the reason that we wanted to speak tonight is January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and we wanted Madison Countyans to realize how serious human trafficking is in this area. Kentucky ranked number 9 in the nation for human trafficking in 2019 for federal cases reported. We sent out a pamphlet. This is an email that I got from Heather Wagers, who is the head of the Human Trafficking Task Force for the Attorney General. This is more of an updated report. But now what she has told me is, even though in the chart Madison County doesn't look like a real high number, they have a campaign that's called Your Eyes Save Lives. And she said every time they take that campaign to a county, then when they leave, the people are now aware and they know what to look for. So they start reporting what they're seeing, and in that county, those numbers skyrocket. So I know you all know what human trafficking is. It can be for sex or labor, either one. The way the predators get to these victims are different ways. They're grooming, they're tricking, coercing, forcing. But the saddest one of all is their parents, especially in this area. The parents are selling their kids for money and drugs. So, Vicki, you have...
Sorry, I'm gonna move this. My biggest thing is like if the microphone like wanks out while I'm trying to talk, sorry. My name is Vicki Primrose. I'm also with Redeeming Hope. I believe I can speak for most of us. When we hear the words human trafficking, we automatically think like Hollywood, big city news, underground trafficking rings, the whole 9 yards. But what we convince ourselves is that it does not happen in this small town, and really a lot of people don't even believe it happens in this state. According to the Department of Community-Based Services, between the years 2013 and 2020, there was 1,167 reports of alleged human trafficking. Of that, 1,408 were child victims. Of the child victims, 1,133 reported incidents involved sex trafficking. It's easy for us to assume that these malicious acts do not or cannot ever affect us, but they do. You may not personally know somebody who has been trafficked, but I can assure you, you have probably walked past at least one little girl who has been a part of this vile exploitation. So, human trafficking doesn't always have to look like big underground operations. Kentucky DCBS received allegations describing familial sex trafficking involving drugs, money, or something of value. Children's forced in what is called survival sex activities, and solicited for child sexual abuse materials using an online platform or social media. The first step to changing the outcome of these girls is raising awareness, to be aware that this is not just something you see in a movie or a TV show, it's real life. The people that these girls depend on the most are supposed to love and trust. To protect them, turn their back and rip every ounce of innocence that these girls have, just for drugs or money. They're manipulated and they're threatened to do things no child or human should ever have to do. And in most cases, they're broadcasted and sold. As a mother and a sister and somebody who has been called Berea their home for a long time, this is something that we all need to be aware of, and that's the truth of human sex trafficking. It is a real thing, and it is a real issue, and it happens every day. So, and I'll let Jamie kind of talk about what we're doing to fix that.
All right, thanks, Vicki. Breathe.
Sorry.
You did great. Well, my name is Jamie Arnold, and I live here in Madison County as well. And as Vicki explained what human trafficking is, unfortunately, I have seen both sides of it. While stationed overseas with the military, I saw up close human trafficking, what it looks like. Taking people through coercion or force, basically stealing them and whisking them away to a foreign country to be sold. In Korea, there were curtains. You went on this side of the street, if there were blue curtains, you could buy a little boy. On this side of the street, pink curtains, you could get a little girl. You could just go in the front door and get any woman as long as they were over age. They didn't even have to disguise what they were doing. You could just walk straight in the front door and buy what you wanted. My next door neighbor was actually a victim of that. So seeing that overseas, it was, you see it in the movies, but when you see it up close, it lands a little different. So when I came to Kentucky, started over here about 10 years ago, got married, worked at EKU. I didn't think I would see anything like that here, but unfortunately I did while working with the foster care system. To see these young girls right here at home, like Vicki said, you picture that in the movies, you picture it overseas, you don't picture it here at home. And I promise you, like she said, you walk past somebody every day, maybe in a Chinese restaurant, maybe at even a therapeutic massage place, a laundry, a dry cleaners, or just a child in Walmart. The campaigns work. The numbers do look low because people don't know what to look for. Those numbers will skyrocket, like with other reporting, when you know what to look for. And that's why we are here. Lisa mentioned we have started a nonprofit, and it's called Redeeming Hope. And the aim of that nonprofit is to start a group home right here in Berea, Kentucky, to help the girls from right here in our area. Not just Madison County, but they will come from all over Kentucky. You might ask, why a group home? The trauma that these girls, and they are girls, they are children. We're going to target teenage girls from 14 to 18 years old. These girls they need specialized care. So even if it isn't their family that has put them in this situation, parents don't know what to do. to support and help girls. They love them, but they don't know the specialized needs that these girls need. Neither do regular foster parents. That's why we want to start the home here, to give them that specialized care that they need. So it's going to be like a threefold type of home. We want to give them number one, a home style setting, not a prison, not a detention center, not an institution, but an actual home where people will care and love them, but give them the support that they need. They'll be around other victims that have gone through what they've gone through, so they won't feel isolated and alone. So they will get the trauma therapy that they need. We will also provide education for them so they can finish their GED or get a high school diploma, so they will be able to go on and be able to take care of themselves. And as I explained, they're going to get the love and support that they need. These children, and they are children, they need to know that the worst thing that has happened to them so far does not dictate who they are, and it does not determine the rest of their lives. They should not be defined by the worst thing that has ever happened to them. That is not fair, because when you put these kids in a regular home or foster home situation, they get labeled as bad kids, either in the school system, the foster system, the social work system. They're not bad kids. They're just kids that have had a very bad thing happen to them. Okay, so their responses, their behaviors, while may seem inappropriate, and yes, they are, they don't know what appropriate and normal looks like. So while their behaviors are not normal as to what we would define normal, they're normal for what they've been through. So we want to help change that. We want to give them the tools so that they can go on and lead productive lives. They need to know that somebody cares, that we're not just going to give up on them. Because when that happens, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to continue to be abused, because once a child has been abused, they're much more likely to be victimized over and over again. Or they will grow up and they will become abusers themselves. So if we want to stop human trafficking and stop this abuse, we have got to stop that cycle of violence. And that starts with teaching them how to be different. So anyway, Lisa reminded me of a quote that I had used back in grad school many years ago. I don't remember the author, and I may butcher it. I don't remember it exactly, but it goes like this: all it takes for evil to prosper is for good men to do nothing. Well, we are here, and we're going to do something. So that's it. So if y'all have any questions for us, we would be glad to answer them to the best we can.
Thank you. I do have a question for council members or people in the community, people that may see this later on. How can they get in touch with you if they want to help? What's the best way to do that?
We have a Facebook page. It's under Redeeming Hope. You can reach out that way, and Lisa has her phone number all over it. You can contact her
So
directly.
Redeeming Hope on a Facebook page
Facebook.
is the best way?
Or you can call Lisa Foster directly.
Yes.
Okay.
You can call Lisa Foster. My name and number's already plastered all over Madison County because I'm a realtor.
Right.
So it's Lisa Foster, 859-582-1010. So if you have any questions, or if you want to sponsor or donate or get more information on our plans on the house, we are in the process of working on the paperwork. We can't disclose where it's at yet, but
Okay.
it is in Berea.
Good, good. I do want to open it up for questions if you ladies have just a few minutes,
Sure,
or comments from the council. Questions or comments from the council? Teresa?
Lisa, tell me what you need right now. What's first steps? What do you need from us? What do you need from the community?
And Lisa, if you would step up to the mic there, where we can,
Well, certainly, we're trying to build, we are 501c3 pending, so that has to clear before we can apply for grants. So we are trying to raise money by fundraising in ways that we can. We can't do a one-and-done fundraiser until we get our 501c3 cleared. But we do need funding to help us. We need your support. We need you all to love these girls and to talk it up in Madison County. And we we need your eyes to watch out for these things and report. Just anything that you would see that report. So that's the place that we're at right now is fundraising, trying to get the money to start before the grants come in.
And when you say report, do you report to local law
You
enforcement?
can report to 911, but there's
Okay.
also, you can Google it or anything, but there's a hotline number straight to that. But if you don't have access to that, and I don't think we have it, we might have it on, we have it in the pamphlets
Okay.
that you've got there. But you can call the hotline and report to them. If you go on the Attorney General's website, there's local policemen and stuff that's actually put their cases on there. Some were different areas, Hazard and different Corbin, different places, and they actually show it's not just sex trafficking, but it's labor traffic and different things. But we certainly need the funding, we need money, and we need you to report.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments for,
I have a comment.
Courtney?
When you think that it's not here, I was at the Antique Mall one day and this really nice vehicle literally pulled up to our door, like between handicap parking, almost like to block if somebody was coming out our door. That caught my attention. Then a gentleman came in, hefty size, and asked, had I seen a girl in a pink sweatshirt carrying a backpack? And I said, no. And he walked over to me and just, that bully, and said, are you sure? And I said, I think I would know if I had. And I had the cameras, I tried to get their car tags, couldn't, but I called the police. It was not good. He had been all the way, there was two gentlemen down through there, and I just assumed they probably stopped, gassed, restroom, and she got away. So it's real, and it's here. We're on the interstate. It's here, folks.
Corjane, other questions or comments for Lisa and the ladies? I will ask, and I know you could do this through Zinnia, I think, but if you have like a one-pager or something that we could share on the city website, I think we can do that to try to raise awareness, and if you can get that through Zinnia, she can get it through to Robin and Rose, and we'll try to get that up on the police website just for the awareness, because this is Awareness Month, right? So I think that would be appropriate if you could send us something like that that's shareable. Is that all right? Okay. And the other thing, go ahead, Lisa.
Can I just say one
Sure,
more
step
thing
right
that
up.
just popped in my mind because
Yes.
I'm sensitive to it.
Yes.
If you have young daughters or know anybody young like that one of their tactics is grooming. These young, good-looking guys will pursue these girls and make them think they're in love with them, and then they want to take them on vacation, and the next thing you know, they take them on vacation, and they're handing them over, and you never see them again. So if you have daughters or family, you might make them aware to just be, this day and time, you just really can't be careful enough, but you really do need to watch out for that.
Okay. Well, thank you again for calling attention to a difficult but very real problem, and we'll do our part to share and help. So we look forward to hearing back from you when the house is opened, and look forward to the good work that you all be doing. So thank you for sharing with us today. All right. The next item on the agenda is Planning Commission appointments. And we sent these out in advance, the folks that I would like to appoint and asking for your approval. So without objection, we'll do these one at a time. The first one is a reappointment of Greg Lakes to a 4-year term on the Planning Commission. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Cottle, is there a second by Katie Startzman? Is there any discussion on the motion to approve my appointment of Greg Lakes to a 4-year term on the Berea Planning Commission? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and we'll get that executive order out tomorrow. The next person I'm requesting approval for is Michael Barnett. Mike, has served 4 years, and I'm requesting council approval of my appointment for another 4-year term for Mike Barnett. Is there a motion? By Jim Davis. And a second by Teresa Centers. Is there any discussion on the motion to reappoint Mike Barnett to the Berea Planning Commission? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to reappoint Mike Barnett to the Planning Commission, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and we'll get that executive order done as well. The next person that I'd like to appoint to the Berea Planning Commission has served several times on the Planning Commission and is willing to serve again. That's Ben Robinson III. Requesting a motion to approve the appointment of Ben Robinson III to the Planning Commission.
So moved.
By Mr. Cottle. Is there a second by Ms. Startzman? Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to reappoint Ben Robinson to the Planning Commission, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and Ben Robinson will be appointed to a 4-year term. And the next new appointment, I'm requesting a motion to approve my appointment of Jeff Johnson to a 4-year term on the Berea Planning Commission. Is there a motion by Mr. Little?
Second.
Is there a second by Mr. Cottle? Is there any discussion on the motion to approve my appointment of Jeff Johnson to the Berea Planning Commission for a 4-year term? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. The motion carries, and Jeff Johnson will be appointed to a 4-year term. And I do thank all of those folks for serving. I also want to give a special shout out and thanks to Jeff Reed. Jeff served 2 terms, so he served a total of 8 years on the Planning Commission, did a fantastic job, and we're grateful for Jeff's service. And also Phil Malacote, who served a 4-year term and was one of the first people I appointed to a border commission when I became mayor. So Phil was willing to help us out, and I really appreciate his service to the citizens and to the city. So gratitude to them, and congratulations to the 4 people who will be appointed to the Planning Commission. The next item on the agenda, yes, Jerry, go right ahead.
Somebody asked me this, and I couldn't. On this Planning Commission's appointment, is that something that the council has to vote on, or is it just, is it?
My understanding, it's required, council approval is required of the mayor's selection. So basically, it has to be ratified by
Somebody asked me, I just curious.
and I would defer to Jerry as well from a legal standpoint. I'm sure that that's the statute, is approval's required, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I know there's some appointments you make and don't have to be voted
correct.
on, but this is one that has to be voted on.
Yes, and also the Code Enforcement Board and Board of Adjustments also have to be approved by council.
Just-
Some are by ordinance, and but I have a chart, and I'd be glad to share that,
Okay.
because I have to keep up with it, the ones that are required and the ones that aren't.
I just had some people ask me and I didn't know, just clarification. No problem at all, okay? Thank you.
You're welcome. The next item on the agenda, we amended the agenda to include a housing authority appointment for a 4-year term. I want to explain that one. Jeannie Hogg is who I'm requesting approval for. Jeannie is willing to serve, but I had trouble getting with Jeannie because she'd been kind of out of the country for a couple of weeks. Ken Vasey. Ken has served for 24 years on the Berea Housing Authority, and he's currently the chair. Ken has advised me that he does not want to be reappointed, and his appointment actually expired. I almost did everything besides beg Ken to stay on, but he said that 24 years was plenty, and we're very grateful for his service. But I was just able to talk to Jeannie today, and she said she would be happy to serve if nominated and approved. So that's why it didn't get on your agenda until today. This was my plan, but haven't been able to get a hold of her until today. So I would request a motion to approve Jeannie Hogg to a 4-year term on the Berea Housing Authority, which would be effective tomorrow. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Cottle. Is there a second by Ms. Wilson? Any discussion on the motion to approve my appointment of Jeannie Hogg to a 4-year term on the Berea Housing Authority? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to appoint Jeannie Hogg to a 4-year term on the Housing Authority, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and we'll get that executive order done tomorrow as well. And again, thanks to Jeannie for her willingness to serve, and also to Ken. Can't thank him enough. I serve on that board as an ex officio member, and I can't speak highly enough of Ken and the way he's led our organization and served over more than 2 decades. So shout out to Ken Vasey. Next item on the agenda is street infrastructure and sewer acceptance for Stony Creek. And I'll recognize Codes and Planning Administrator Amanda Haney. And Amanda, don't forget, you have an action item to respond to Ms. Workman about Christmas Ridge. You're welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Administrator. Is it appropriate for me to answer that question? Thank you, Ronnie. Is it appropriate for me to address that question first?
Without objections from the council, you certainly may.
Okay, so there has not been a resubmittal for the zone change on Christmas Ridge, and I did think if there are other people watching that were kind of following that, the way we left it was the applicant was to submit a kind of a rendering or conceptual plan of what they proposed. And so my understanding is they are still trying to get that from the surveyor. But when they get that, we will be advertising that as best we can, so it'll be on Facebook. Of course, there have been some people calling our office to check periodically. Again, at this time, I don't really have a date for a resubmittal. Thank you. So this evening, I would like to present to council 2 items for acceptance into the city's infrastructure maintenance program and for assets to the city. The first, GIS, Codes and Planning and Public Works has inspected Stony Creek Unit 2, Block 1, Phases 1 and 2, consisting of 4,757 linear feet of street. This is at Wildwood Way, which if you're familiar with Stony Creek is just past the turnabout, the roundabout there. From that roundabout on Wildwood Way, Boulder Court, Sapphire Drive, and Middle Creek Drive. All the deficiencies have been corrected, and we would recommend acceptance by City Council this evening. This street acceptance will be for curbs, gutters, roads, sidewalks, storm piping, and infrastructure, but excluding any retention or detention ponds. The total asset to the city would be $1,902,800. And again, we are seeking acceptance for streets and infrastructure at Stony Creek, Unit 2, Block 1, Phases 1 and 2.
So Amanda, you're requesting a motion to accept 4,757 linear feet of streets at Stony Creek, Unit 2, Block 1, Phases 1 and 2, requesting that the city accept all infrastructure from the back of the sidewalk to the back of the sidewalk on Wildwood Way, past the roundabout, Boulder Court, Sapphire Drive, and Middle Creek Drive, excluding retention and detention, for a total asset to the city of $1,902,800. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the streets.
Motion by Mr. Little to accept. Is there a second by Ms. Wilson? Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll request. No. Absolutely, go right
So
ahead.
I'm just looking at the map because I haven't been out that way in a minute. So this far Stony Creek Drive that comes around from the main one, has that already been accepted and brought into the city, or are there still more outstanding that will be after this?
So if you'll allow me just a minute, I brought my computer so I can pull up a map if you would like for me to.
Without objection, we'll ask Amanda to pull up the map.
Okay. Wow. Oh, and Priscilla threw my mouse.
Priscilla broke the computer.
Snap. No, you're fine. It snaps right on.
Hey, the entrance up there has it needs that much money. We get Stony Creek.
So bad for snow. That's why it's so bad. That entrance, the snow pipe. We have such issues.
Let me get
Finish
this
up. There's
from,
one more motion we need.
yeah.
The back one's on.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go. We're good here.
Dim your lights, just, well,
Front one didn't.
he's gonna get Sean there and get
It's trying.
Oh, okay, yeah. So momentarily, but you guys will be able to see this one back here. So it is pretty confusing at Stony Creek, so that's why I wanted to go ahead and. No, that's okay. Bring a map in. So we actually have a real good layer on our map. That is what's been accepted into city maintenance. And actually, nope, that's not a good map. All of this section, if you come in, Wildwood Way has not. So this boulevard entrance does not have its final coat of pavement. We've been kind of carrying this on a bond because that's the main thoroughfare that all the construction traffic goes through. So we really don't want to accept that right now because we don't want our brand new street that we accept torn up, right? So we've kind of put that off. So Wildwood Way has not been accepted. Winding Branch, North Fork, South Fork have. This evening, I'm asking for acceptance basically from this roundabout to this section of Wildwood Way, Middle Creek Drive, Boulder, and Sapphire. So, it basically is, I'll just draw this out real quick, is kind of this section here where those houses and roads are.
Okay. Other questions, or I'm sorry, other comments on the motion? We do have a motion on the floor. Any comments? Discussion? Seeing none,
do.
will Jim, go right ahead, sir.
Sorry, Amanda, all the houses or all the lots on Sapphire, are they built on?
Actually, all of these houses and lots are built on.
Okay.
They cannot ask for acceptance into city maintenance until these subdivisions are 75% built out. But in this case, every lot has either a house on it or was bought by a neighbor and they've put the sidewalks on it. So we will not need to carry a bond on this portion
Okay,
because it is 100% complete.
thank you.
Thank you.
Other discussion on the motion? Jerry, go right.
I had a question this one.
And I will, that probably didn't make sense when the mayor read that motion to say back of sidewalk to back of sidewalk, but we put those sidewalks at the edge of the right-of-way, so along those streets, you're really looking at back of sidewalk to back of sidewalk. That wasn't a, that's not written incorrectly. That's how we look at it. So we're basically accepting everything inside of that right-of-way.
And we do have motion on the floor. Any additional discussion by council? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to accept, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries, and that section of Stony Creek is accepted into the city maintenance. Amanda, continue. You have more?
Okay, so while we're on Stony Creek, I offered to take care of BMUs as well. So Berea Municipal Utilities has inspected and approved 2,100 feet of 8-inch PVC sewer line and 10 newly installed manholes. And this is gonna be for Stony Creek Unit 3, Phase 1A. So as shown on the map, this is the blue, this is the newest section that we have. So they are, the infrastructure is installed, obviously new sewer lines installed, no houses built yet. So this will be the next section they start building. But again, sewer is complete. BMU is requesting acceptance by the council into the Berea Utilities Maintenance Program for a total asset to the city of $212,000.
Okay, so I'd be requesting a motion to accept 2,100 linear feet of 8-inch sewer line and 10 manholes at Stony Creek Unit 3, Phase 1A, for a total asset to the city of $212,000 into the city maintenance program. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Davis, and I hear a second by Mr. Rowlett. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to accept, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries, and the sewer lines, as noted, are accepted into the city maintenance program. Amanda, thank you for your time
Thank
and
you so
your
much.
explanations. Jerry, go right ahead, sir.
How many lots is in that new part that they're developing right now?
28 off the top of my head.
Okay.
But it could be 27.
When do they hope to get those
Within-
ready where they can sell them?
Let me
Got any
think about
idea?
this.
What we like on the inspections?
We were waiting on tonight's meeting, because they got conditional approval. So their plans are approved, the final plat is approved.
Okay,
The planning commission at our last meeting gave them a contingency approval based on, so as part of final plat approval, we have to bond that new section. And so what they wanted to be able to do is transfer this bond over to the new section. So we needed to accept these streets into our city maintenance, get them kind of off the books for them, and that bond will be transferred to this new phase of construction.
okay. That makes
So
sense.
as of after tonight, they'll be able to get signatures on their plat and file the final plat, record it at the Madison County.
So probably
clerk's
30
office.
more days in, maybe.
If even, I think they've actually already been working on getting signatures, so
Okay.
it should be quicker than that.
So they'll be able to sell them in pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
One more question.
Sure.
You got any idea on the turn lanes out there on 25?
I do. They gave us an update at our last planning commission meeting. One thing that we often talk about for Stony Creek is turn lanes and,
And the
one
center-
entrance and all that.
And the center, what about a center turn lane there? Are they gonna?
Yeah, so they'll actually be putting in a turn lane coming from 25 north into, if you're headed north, there will be a right turn lane into Stony Creek, and then there will be like an acceleration lane going back out. So that work is supposed to be, they've resubmitted plans to the state, got approval from KYTC, and that work is supposed to happen this spring.
So it is gonna happen?
It is gonna happen.
Cause
yes.
it's, needs to be.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Next item on the agenda is department head reports, and tonight, the guy in the booth is going to come out and give his report. Our one and only Daniel Brindley, our IT director, is our featured department head for the evening. So Daniel, thank you, and you have the floor, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for my department, we have quite a bit going on. Probably hear me as a broken record talking about phone systems. I've been working on that since last fiscal year. So we finally got some firm pricing in just this week. So I'll be talking with department heads and Rose and Bruce about that and looking at a new phone system. Ours is currently just, it works, but there's no more parts for it. We lose functionality as time goes on. It's just most places are moving to a subscription-based service and not an in-house service anymore. So our current phone system is a Samsung one, and they even end-of-lifed it, and then they actually sold off the rights and no longer make parts for it. So if something were to happen to our phone system, we'd be really out of luck. So I'm working on that. Like I said, we just got pricing back this week, so I'll be working with Rose and all the department heads and making sure that all the numbers that I have are correct, and then eventually probably bring something here. This was also been on my reports as a future project, but I went ahead and ordered it. We ordered a new network server rack for the utilities building. Don't plan on actually implementing that until after the phone system is done, but my vendor informed me that the price of that rack's gonna go up by about $1,000, so went ahead and ordered it now before the price goes up. When that is done though, we're gonna redo all the wiring, all the switching, and how the core infrastructure is connected in the utilities building. So that'll be a lot of after hours stuff, but hopefully shouldn't affect anybody obviously, but did order that early just because of the price change coming up. We're also, mentioned this before, doing in-house security training. So we actually started that today. We did that with the finance department. So today we focused on email and then specifically phishing in email. So we'll get that presentation polished up a little bit, and eventually I'll be doing it with you guys as well, because you guys do have city email accounts. And then we're also going to try and make little, we don't want them to be super time consuming because it's hard to take the finance department out of commission for a little while. So we're going to try and do little segments like this. Like, you know, there's a lot to email security, but today we focused on just one little aspect of that. And we're going to try and come up with a bunch of those kind of courses just for general IT security. It doesn't have to be just email, but could be like, you know, password security, email security, security about, you know, walking away from your computer. So we're going to come up with like little 20-minute things just to do with departments kind of randomly throughout the year. And then anything that pertains to you guys, like email, we'll try and get you guys in there as well. We're also moving our city cell phone provider. So that should start taking place next week or the week after. We've already got the information in. It'll save us a little bit of money, and the representatives are a whole lot more responsive. We've had problems probably over the last couple of years since COVID, which a lot of vendors have had problems with that, but over the last couple of years, our current vendors just not been as responsive as we'd like, and things that should be simple aren't. And the new one does have a little bit of cost savings, and we've tested them, and we've had no problems, so we're going to be moving that as well. More of a day-to-day in-house thing. Me and Tommy have been working on doing firmware and software updates on all our Wi-Fi around the city. So actually I did a bunch last night, broke the toll building. Luckily there's nobody there. So we got that back up and going today, but we're doing rolling updates. So City Hall, for example, has like 20 Wi-Fi access points. So there's no, if we do all 20, obviously that takes the Wi-Fi in the building down. So we do a rolling update where we'll do one section of the building that could be covered by another access point so that the whole building, and most people, I don't think we even had anybody know we were doing them. So that's what we got working on. If you have any questions for me.
Questions for Daniel? Anybody? All right, seeing none. Daniel, thank you for your report, and thanks for the great job that you always do. And anytime I have an issue, you know, Daniel, how do I restart? Daniel, how do I change my password? He's always on the ball. So if you guys need him, call him. Does a great job. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, guys.
Would any other department heads like to address the council? Kevin Howard, I'll recognize our Utilities General Manager. You have the floor, Kevin.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Fraley, and Administrator Beverly. I thought Amanda was going to bail me out tonight, but I got one more item. As you may remember, during the budgeting process, we had a jet vac truck budgeted. In the last several months, we've been looking at several different units. We've actually looked at 6 different units. What we've been asking these vendors is to give us either state pricing contract, Sourcewell, or NJPA contract pricing. Coming to you tonight to ask for approval to move forward with that purchase. We have selected a 900 Eco jet vac at a sale price of $499,401.32. I'll point out that the 6 units that we've brought all these 6 units in. We've physically looked at the units, took them out, tested them in the field. The price range was $573,000 to $496,000 on the units. We anticipated a significant increase. The last unit we purchased in 2012 for $360,000. Budgeted $600,000 this year in the budget just to cover the anticipated increase. We were hoping for a little better pricing, but with currently the way the market conditions are on vehicles, we do feel this is the best value we're going to get. The truck that I'm asking for approval on, it meets all of our needs. The 2012, it's actually a 2013 model we currently have, but we'd ordered it in 2012. It suited our purposes great. does everything we need, but it did have a lot of electronics on it. And we've had a lot of maintenance and upkeep on those electronics. The unit that we're purchasing sort of is going away from that with more just the basic, the cleaning and the jetting of the lines, and it's also got the hydro excavator. So,
You're needing a motion to purchase that?
yes, for
Okay.
approval to move
So
forward. with.
Kevin's requesting a motion to approve the purchase of a 900 Eco Jet Vac at a price of $499,401.32. Is there a motion?
So
By
moved.
Mr. Terrell, and a second by Ms. Wilson. Is there any discussion or comments? Jerry, go right ahead.
One thing, Kevin, what are we gonna do with the old one? Keep it or
That's a very good question. 2-3 years ago, I would have probably told you we would run that and then surplus it. What we've found with this is, like I said, the jet vac, it's got the hydro excavator unit. So what we've been really doing with that is we're really using that a lot on the water side to where it's taken up. The intended use was for sewer line inspections and cleaning. The reason we like that hydro excavator, it saves us, number one, time on excavating. It's safer around underground utilities, and also saves us labor and money on street cut repairs. It's a smaller hole than what it would be with a backhoe. So the short answer is we still want to run that unit, keep that in our fleet. That'll be dedicated to the water side, more with the hydro excavator. This unit would be strictly for the sewer side, and obviously, would have a backup.
that probably makes sense.
One thing I do want to point in, I didn't finish that thought on the maintenance issues that we'd had. One of the things that really steered us to this 900 Eco was there's a shop in Lexington. Each shop, they have 6 locations total. There's a shop in Lexington, and each one of those shops have 2 service trucks each.
That's
So,
very important.
so I think that would save us as well. Sorry. I hope so.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any additional comments, Katie?
I'm just not familiar with what that kind of vehicle is. So I gather from what Jerry said, we currently have one and we've only used that one, and so now that one's gonna be the backup. But can you describe what that vehicle is and like how we use it?
So it's a combination unit of any of our sewer line cleaning that needs to take place. It's got a hose reel in the front, 500-foot hose reel, high pressure water that we can go up the sewer lines. We can clean those sewer lines. We can knock out blockages in the sewer lines. It also has a vacuum function. You can go into the manholes. You can vacuum any of the debris. We use that for pump stations. If we need to, summertime, a lot of times our pump stations have a sludge blanket. Once a week, we'll take that unit down and get the sludge blanket to help combat the odor issues that would have at our pump stations. And, like I said, that hydro excavator part is, it's really been a game changer for us on excavating trenches. One of the demos was they actually went out and dug a 6-foot deep hole that we set a pole in on the electric crew. So, yeah, and then you've got the vacuum section that'll suck up the debris as you're jetting out, so it's a lot less mess. Okay.
Any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll request a voice vote on the motion to approve the purchase of a 900 Eco Jet Vac at a price of $499,401.32. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the purchase is approved. Kevin, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Would any other department heads like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward to the city administrator's report, and I'll recognize Rose Beverly. Rose, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I would like to start out with a similar request that just happened with Kevin. This is for the fire department. We would like to ask for the approval for the fire department to purchase a 2023 Tahoe PPV CK10706, a Tahoe, but I digress. White four-wheel drive for the state contract price of $45,620. This purchase was approved in the budget. We're now asking for the approval from the city council. We're not exactly sure when the vehicle will get here, but this is to go into a contract to purchase that vehicle.
So Rose is requesting, make sure I'm right here, Rose, you're requesting approval of purchase of a 2023 Tahoe PVV white four-wheel drive at the state contract price of $45,620. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is there a motion by Ms. Centers? Is there a second by Mr. Little? Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the purchase of that vehicle? Jim, go right ahead, and then we'll come back to Teresa.
Who's this vehicle for? How will it be used?
The fire department, and they have a Tahoe in their fleet, and this will be replacing one that's being retired, if I'm correct. Do you want further explanation from Sean?
Please.
Okay.
Sean, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. What this will be replacing is a 2012 Chevrolet 2500 pickup truck. We will be repurposing that to our Public Works Department. We've already talked to Roy Curtis, our director, and they'll be utilizing that truck. It's on our continuous replacement plan, so this just falls in line, and we'll, like I say, utilize that pickup truck in another department.
And again, this was approved in the main budget, so you guys already did approve this.
Just curious.
Let me come back to Teresa. Teresa, you
Uh, what Rose just said was approved in the main budget, as was Kevin's purchase for, budgeted for 600,000, so he saved us 100,000. How much are you saving us, Sean?
no pressure.
Budgeted is 50,000, so.
All right.
Look at these department heads go. That's why I'm telling you, they're superstars.
I'll go next to
I'll
Ronnie
support
Carroll.
this if they'll promise me that at night, when they go by my trailer and it's after dark, say 11 o'clock, they don't toot that horn as they go by the house. Because I can hear them.
Normally, I'm at home the same time. Mr. Terrell, I can't control them sometimes. I do try.
Well, I'll think about my vote.
All right. We do have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the purchase of the 2023 Tahoe at the state contract price. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the purchase of 2023 Tahoe PVV white four-wheel drive at the state contract price of $45,620. Please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the purchase is approved. Rose, go right ahead.
Thank you. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the little list I gave everybody. It's the 2023 City Council Legislative Committee list. There's the handout, and if you have any questions or you'd like to suggest any changes, we can do a work session at our next meeting. But if you're okay with it, and everybody, let me know if you have any questions. If you don't, I'll assume you're okay with it, and we will make a municipal order that will be read at our next meeting. So you can take a look at that and let me know what you're thinking there. And finally, we have several retirements in different departments that will be happening soon. From the police department, we have Sergeant James Hampton. He's had 22 years of service. And from the fire department, we have Scott Adams with 27 years of service and 3 years of service as a volunteer, and Steve Bryant with 20 years of service and 1 year as a volunteer. So in total, we are losing 69 years of experience with those retirements. So we just want to say congratulations to Mr. Hampton, Mr. Adams, and Mr. Bryant. Thank you for your dedication and hard work for the city of Berea. If you see those gentlemen out and about, make sure you stop and tell them congratulations and a big thank you. And that being said, to our personnel committee, we will be keeping you busy. We have to do some hiring now, but it's always nice to hire because of retirement and not just turnover. So we really appreciate those guys and there's all those years of dedication. That is all that I have. I will take questions.
All right. Questions for the city administrator? Seeing none, good report, Rose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move into mayor's comments. I just have a couple, really. My first one is to congratulate and to thank Scott James and Steve for their dedication and service to the city and the citizens. I think this is something we need to do all the time, is make sure we're recognizing our retirees, and Rose and I are going to try to do our best to keep up with that. But thanks to those guys, they're going to be missed. You can't replace that kind of experience, but we have the right people in place to bring the next generation along. So congratulations and best wishes to all three of those gentlemen. The next thing I want to mention is that the fire department, Sean Sandlin and Brent Billings came up with a fact sheet. It's a one-page sheet that can be given to people that have experienced a fire and a loss in fire. It has contact information for police and fire, assistance if people need assistance with replacing clothing or a place to stay, cleanup, hotels, health care, even information about pets and where to get help. So that's and there's more, food and utilities as well. But this is a really good outside of the box, going the extra mile kind of service provided by our fire department. And I wanted to call attention to that and to thank Sean and Brent for putting that together. I think that's something that will be very useful for people that have suffered a loss in a fire. So, Sean, please tell you guys we said thanks. And the last item that I had, I've already talked about it a little bit, was Ken Vasey. And again, thanks for his 24 years of service on the Housing Authority Board. I won't repeat all that, but Ken does deserve a lot of credit for being a great leader and a great chair and a great board member. We will miss him on the board. And that's all I have, and we'll next move to council comments and begin with Ronnie Terrell. Ron, you have the floor, sir. Okay, Cora Jane Wilson. Cora Jane?
Just like to thank all the presenters here tonight, and thank you, Ken Vasey, for 24 years, and these guys retiring. Thank you all, and for your service, for your time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cora Jane. And next we'll move to Steve Cottle. Steve?
No comment.
Thank you, sir. Jerry Little? Jerry? All right. David Rowlett?
First, I want to thank Daniel for his presentation. It's one of those positions where most people don't call and tell him what a great job he's doing or done, but they have a problem and they expect it fixed immediately. And I know Robin and Daniel worked with me earlier today to make sure we had something going, and so I'm very proud of the work that he does. The second thing I wanted to share with you is kind of in the way of food for thought, and sort of a suggestion, I guess. I see that we had a lot of folks that needed to be reappointed or maybe joining the groups and things, but I think, and obviously they have a lot of experience and knowledge, and most are willing to serve multiple terms and stuff, but one thought was that perhaps if there was a way to stagger terms so that we didn't end up with everybody coming in new. The worst thing could happen is if we start a whole new group, and that's not likely to happen, but anytime we have more than 50% rotating out or coming to the table, I think it might be worthy of, if we could, appoint some people to 2-year terms and maybe others to 4 so that we staggered those. I think whether it be our group or whatever, it's important that the chair either has mentored people or done some things, because just the history on some of these things in itself is hard for new people to grasp. I remember when I joined this group several years ago, it took me a year at least to figure out where the money comes from and, more importantly, how it's being spent. So I really want us to look maybe at continuity as we look at some of these groups that serve kind of in an advisory capacity. So we don't have to do anything this evening, but just something we might give some thought to. So. And I certainly appreciate those folks that are getting ready to retire. I'll be honest with you, you'll find that when you retire, you wonder how you ever did your job, because people seek you out and you have to volunteer for all kinds of opportunities that are out there. So thank you much.
Good. Thank you, David. Next we'll move to Katie Starksman. Katie?
Thanks. I had the privilege of attending Honeysuckle's 1-year anniversary last week, and they're a really standout local business in Berea. And I just want to draw attention to the fact that this is a really challenging time for local businesses and local restaurants, and that if y'all value having businesses that are not chains in Berea, now's the time to support them. So there's that. And then also, this is just, I'm really thinking a lot about beautification and things we can do in our community to, just in a casual way, not even an official way, to make our community more welcoming and beautiful. So if there's any citizens who are interested in working on that, reach out to me because I'd love to chat more. Thanks.
I have a volunteer for you on that. I'll tell you after the meeting. Yeah. All right, thank you, Katie. Next, we'll move to Teresa Centers. Teresa.
Well, tonight has been all about people who serve, and we've heard so many names, and it's really gratifying to know that we do live in a community where people look for opportunities to serve, and I appreciate all that. And I'm thanking that Kevin owes Amanda lunch for speaking for him, and that Daniel owes Donna lunch for breaking the toll building.
All right, thank you, Teresa. And last but not least, for the last word, Jim Davis. Jim, you have the floor, sir.
I too would like to thank those people that have stepped up to the plate and volunteered to serve on the various commissions and boards. I appreciate people that do volunteer or that do serve, and thank you for that. The three people retiring, Mr. Hampton, Mr. Adams, Mr. Bryant, thank you for your years of service to this community. Mr. Vasey, thank you for your years of service. And Daniel, if you can hear me, thank you for your report. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Mr. Cottle. Is there a second? By Mr. Rowlett. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
All